KWT slaying.
What if the truth was never lost, only buried? For centuries, historians, scholars, and even colonial records have confirmed what many tried to silence. The original Israelites were a black people scattered across continents but never erased. Their skin was dark, their customs ancient, and their covenant with Yah eternal. This journey uncovers how the Spanish and Portuguese Jews, described as dark-skinned, Semitic, shared one bloodline. Chased by the Inquisition, many fled to Portugal, then beyond, preserving their heritage across borders. But the story doesn't end in Iberia. Across from West Africa, black Jews built synagogues, kept Torah, and passed down the laws of Moses. The Limba in southern Africa, the Igbo in Nigeria, the Beta Israel in Ethiopia, tribes across the continent boldly declared, "We are the children of Israel." These aren't isolated claims. These are voices rising from the dust, connected by oral histories, Torah traditions, and the unbroken rhythm of their identity. No such legacy exists among European Jews. No centuries of tribal witness, no matching traditions, no trace of ancient covenant keeping. Maps, art, and archaeology tell the same story. The Israelites were scattered, enslaved, and displaced, but never lost. The world always knew who they were. Their presence was visible, their customs alive, their story intact. This book doesn't speculate. It confirms the Israelites were black, bound by blood, culture, and covenant to the Most High. This is not just history, it's restoration. The truth was never destroyed, only buried beneath centuries of deception. Get your copy of They Always Knew We Were Israelites today, available now on Amazon.com.
Salama family, salama, how y'all doing today? Hope you're blessed and highly favored. Interesting times we're in. Interesting times. Now, before I get into this, y'all, give me a one if y'all heard about people claiming that we're Native Americans and that America's our home. Give me a two if you haven't. Because today, I hope they sign up for that. I hope y'all sign up for it. I hope you Israelites who think you Native American Indian, that you're indigenous to this land. I hope you sign up for it. Let the government know that this is your home. Let them know. Sign up right away today. Hook up with the FBAs, Foundational Black Americans. Let them know America's your home. Tell you what. Because this has been the biggest psyop, one of the biggest psyops, right? This whole Native American Indian crap. And They Cherokee. If you Cherokee, make sure you let the government know you Cherokee, all right? Post it on your Facebook wall and let everybody know that you're Cherokee, right? Make it known, shout it from the rooftops. Because guess what? I'm going to be taking your check with me. I'm going to take your money. The ones you would have gotten if you was a African. The ones you would have gotten if you were a Ezra Alawi. The one you would have gotten if you were a African Israelite. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Can I say it, family? Can I say it? Can I say it? I don't want to say it, but I'm going to say it. Can I say it? Can I say it, family? Tell me yes. I'm going to say it anyway, family. Yacoba, you know what? You hit it again. You right, Yacoba. You was right again. Don't you get tired of being right, family? Oh, yeah. I told you so. Hold on. Let me highlight that. Let me highlight that. I told you so. I told you so. We in them times of prophetic fulfillment, family. I told y'all it is near. It is at the door. Based upon the prophecies, what I see, I feel it. Now, let me let y'all know. You got some people, they're saying, well, and I think this once again is another psyop, right? Which is, oh, the Africans want to take our money. Did y'all see that? Give me a yes if you've seen that. Give me a no if you haven't. The Africans want to steal our reparations. I think that's a psyop, right? Just to keep us all divided once again, right? Keep the African Israelites from the African American Israelites, from the Caribbean Israelites, African Israelites, from the Israelites who are in the UK and around the world. They want to keep us divided. That's why you got these silly people, and I'm going to repeat it again, and I hope you in the chat. The silly people who said, I'm a Native American Indian, I'm a Cherokee, we were not slaves, we were not sent here. Oh, look. I got stuff I could get into that me and Minister Tayu found out some more information about us that, is real interesting. Real interesting. I'll let Minister Tayu deal with that one. But we found some more information proving who we are. I'm just saying. And it just so happens, too, for some reason, family, for some reason, and I know we got Gentile listeners, but they're usually quiet, right? But we got some Gentile listeners who've been showing up in the Facebook group lately. I don't know why. They've been quiet for like 2, 3, 4 years, maybe longer. I don't have a problem with that. They could come and watch. They can listen. They could participate if they want, but they might get some heat from the Ezra Alawi who in there. I'm just saying, but I don't have a problem with them visiting. But they've been showing up lately. And I'm going to say this. So in terms of them wanting to steal our money, once again, that's just a matter of people trying to make sensationalizing the information, right? They want to sensationalize it, and they want to make sure that we stay divided because, there go the Africans trying to steal our reparations, just like they sold us into slavery. And then you got the ones who say, I ain't no cotton picking African. I'm like, okay, if you ain't an African, you're not an Israelite. Okay, can I repeat that? If you're not an African, you're not an Israelite. Can I say it 100 times? If you're not an African, you're not an Israelite. Well, I ain't no Hamite. See, that's the illogic work, and that's the illogical brain there. That's the elevator don't go all the way to the top brain, right? It don't go to the top floor, right? It doesn't go all the way up to the top. They think all Africans are Hamites. You know how many different ethnic groups on the continent of Africa? I'm just saying. It boggles my mind. The idiocy. The idiocy. It boggles my mind. But let's get into it because we're going to talk about this, what's going on, right? We're going to talk about what's going on here. But before I present my little slideshow, I want to show y'all, and I'll put the link in there if y'all want to do some more research. All right, so here's the 2025 theme of the year, 2025 year reparations, justice for Africans and people of African descent through reparations. All right, so look, here's the deal. This is a big deal. This is a big deal. Don't act like this is just like the year return. This is not the year return. All right. Here's another thing I'm going to share. Resolution in preparation for the AU theme of 2025, Justice for Africans and the People of African Descent through reparations, through consultations on Afro-descendants, indigenous ethnic ancestry, reparations in the 6th region of the African Union. Now, I'm going to come back to this and we can read through it, but I'm going to show you what they're talking about and what's really going on, right? It's interesting, right? This is not like the year return where they try to just get a check, try to get some people to come and, spend some of their vacation money, right? This is the real deal, family. All right, so let's get into this. All right, so the African Union declared 2025 as the year of reparations under the theme Justice for Africans and People of African Descent through reparations, marking a clear turn toward structural action. All right, so one, setting a reparations agenda, the AU rolled out a roadmap targeting legal, financial, cultural, diplomatic forms of what? Reparatory justice with technical support structures in place. And I know what some of y'all thinking. It's just the AU. They don't have no power. We're going to get there. We're going to get there, right? They're engaging the 6th region, the African diaspora, because we're the 6th region, covering Caribbean countries and African Americans in consultations to define the scope and what reparations should mean. All right. Number 2, expanding partnership. Diplomats and civil society in places like Washington and Europe are actively discussing reparations, framing it as a transatlantic initiative. Let me repeat that for you. Diplomats and civil society, in places like Washington and Europe are actively discussing reparations, framing it as a transatlantic initiative. The AU is coordinating with CARICOM and pushing for collaborative strategies, such as creating a global fund. So this whole talk about the Africans trying to steal our money is another psyop to cause division, because what is happening is they're trying to create a global fund. Now, family, let me ask y'all before I continue, because some of y'all knew, y'all not going to know. Some of y'all been here for a while. Family, who else did Yacoba mention going to be involved in us getting reparations and returning back to the land? I'm just saying, do y'all remember who I said is going to be involved in this? One of the only institutions that could really help bring back descendants of slaves who were scattered to the 4 corners back to the continent. Oh, yeah, some people be paying attention, family. Y'all be paying attention. Yes, the United Nations, yes. And so we're going to talk about that too, okay? Number 3, pursuing influence and pressure. At its February summit, AU leaders began forming a unified vision calling for formal apologies, compensation, land restitution, and return of cultural artifacts. Interesting, ain't it? The diaspora division's head stressed they would not let right-wing backlash in Western countries stop reparatory justice discussion. So this whole right-wing coup d'etat that's happening in the States, that's not going to stop it. If Trump is against it, it's not going to stop it. They're going to continue with it, family. Oh, yeah. I told y'all. I've been seeing stuff. I told y'all all of this stuff that's happening. There's backroom conversations going on. And I'm going to discuss some other theories I have about what's happening, right? We got some interesting stuff, right? So what this means for the African Americans, that's you and me, the Israelites in America. Some of you all want to say you foundational Black Americans, you can hold on to the American part. The AU is actively including African Americans in shaping the reparations conversation. That involves convening forums and roundtables where U.S.-based communities are part of the dialogue. Now, I know some people talking about this African woman who's like over the Region 6 thing and all this kind of stuff. Temporary. Right? They're just putting placeholders in place, right? That's all it is. But y'all gonna find this interesting on the timeline, right? I'm just saying, I need my haters to give me an apology. All your videos you done on me, I want an apology. While it isn't requesting direct reparations from the U.S. government yet, the AU is branding U.S.-based African descendants as key stakeholders in the discussions, aligning them with other diaspora groups. Now, understand this. They're not going to ask the U.S. right now because they're putting the structure in place, right? They're putting in the foundation. They're putting in the pillars. They're putting up the drywall. They're putting the roof on, putting in the chairs, right? Putting in the doors and the hinges. They're building the structure. And when the house is built, they're going to say, we want our money. Donald Trump, we want our money. MAGA, we want our money. You mess with our money, you mess with our emotions. Oh, yeah. So what this means, the African Union is well into a global reparations offensive in what? 2025. It is not limited to Africa. It brings African Americans and others in the diaspora into a formal process, shaping the goals, methods, and demands. Their aim spans legal claims, financial compensation, apologies, cultural restoration, institutions, and forming a unified international coalition to advance it. I'm just saying, sound like the dry bones waking up to me. Sounds like I hear the bones, they be rattling, and I be hearing some sinews coming up, and I'm starting to see some skin. I don't see that happening to the 1948ers. They haven't named specific dollar amounts or launched lawsuits in the U.S. yet, but the groundwork is what? Underway, with African Americans firmly a part of the agenda. So don't listen to the FBA people and the ADOS people, because guess what? All of this, look, here's the deal. The claims that we have is a claim of being taken from our homeland. The claims that we have is that they put us into captivity and brought us over here on ships. The claims that we had is free labor, right, for over 400 years that they got, and all of the other dirt that they've done to our ancestors. So y'all want to align with FBAs, but FBAs have no claim unless they tie back to Africa. See, that's why I told you I got a problem with FBAs, because they ignore Africa like Africa isn't important. Oh, yes, Africa has to be part of the claim. It has to be part of the lawsuit, right? It has to be the higher institution that can bring the case to the world body. Oh, yeah, y'all don't get it, right? AU resolution on reparations in the 6th region. Overview of the resolution. Adopted by the African Commission on Human and People's Rights during its 81st ordinary session in Banjul, the Gambia. Supports the African Union's 2025 theme, Justice for Africans and People of African Descent through Reparations. Historical foundations. builds on decades of Pan-African policy, including 6th Pan-African Congress, 1974, Durban Declaration, 2001, First AU Diaspora Forum, 2002, Global African Diaspora Summit, 2012, AU 50th Anniversary Declaration, 2013, recognition of the African diaspora, officially designated as the 6th region of the African Union, recognizes right to return. So listen, it recognizes the right to return. Does that not sound like what happened to them Revelation 2939 folks? Right? Officially designated as the 6th region of the African Union. That means you have a stake in this, you have a claim. Right? Recognizes the right of return and restoration of African citizenship to descendants of enslaved Africans. Citizenship, family, that means you get your identity back that was taken from you, your heritage, your traditions, and they're going to recognize that you ought to see that Yahuwah had blessed. Come on now. Cites the Pan-African law of return as a foundational principle of reparations. You want to know why they're asking us to come back? You want to know why they're offering citizenship right now? Benin, Ghana, Senegal, other African countries offering us citizenship. Is it just happenstance? No, I told y'all. There's a plan behind the scenes. There's been discussions for over 20 years that we are coming home. Part of the reparatory justice is citizenship and restoration of land that was taken from us. Come on now. I don't want to hear nothing no more. I want my apologies. I want y'all to write it in formal letter and email me. Y'all owe me one, all you haters. Action items for 2025. 1. Organize consultations on reparations, Afro-descendant and indigenous identity, and human rights abuses from slavery, colonization, and neocolonialism. 2. Host a roundtable discussion at the February 2025 AU Summit in South Africa. 3. Collaborate with the diaspora for the formal launch of the AU 6th region. 4. Urge diaspora civil society organizations to elect 20 SCO representatives of the AU ECOSOCC General Assembly under Article 5. 5. Support the 2023 Accra Proclamation and coordination between AU, CARICOM, Latin American states, and Global Diaspora Network through CIDO and ECOSOCC. I'm just saying, this is global. It ain't just America. It ain't just the UK. It ain't just the islands. They are dealing with Africans around the globe. Come on now. Where the Bible say we coming from the four corners, where? From where we were dispersed. I don't want to hear it no more. Core message. Reparations include more than financial compensation. They require restoring stolen citizenship. Legal identity. Hold on, let's go back here. They require restoring stolen citizenship, legal identity, Ezra Alawi, and dignity. The resolution calls for unified action between the African Union, member states, and diaspora institutions to make 2025 a landmark year in reparatory justice. I'm just saying, if we ain't the Israelites, how come we look like we fulfilling every single prophecy about the Israelites? Come on now. If we ain't the Israelites, why does it look like we fulfilling every single prophecy about the Israelites? Come on now, Gentiles. I'm just telling you, look, personally, look, you got a few good Gentiles out there. You count them on one hand. In my opinion, I think most Gentiles ain't gonna make it. I'll tell you why I think most Gentiles not gonna make it. The reason why most Gentiles can't make it because they can't worship a black Christ. They can't follow a black nation because it is a nation of Negroes who have a covenant with the creator of the universe. And they cannot fall under the leadership of Negroes, aka Ezra Alawi. They can't do it. Their hearts are hardened. And that's why the Most High going to say, look, depart from me, you workers of iniquity. I never knew you. Why? Because y'all want to do your own thing. Y'all think we the same. Ain't no more Jew Greek, boo-boo. Ain't no more Jew Greek. Take that out of context, just like the law's done away with. Take that out of context. Oh, yeah. It ain't going to be a lot. But as a matter of fact, there's only a remnant of Israelites as well, because you got a bunch of Israelites who reject Yeshua. You ain't getting in unless you trust in Yeshua. You're not getting in unless you trust in Yeshua, I'm telling you. If you Torah only, you ain't getting in. If you reject the deity of the Messiah, you ain't getting in. That's my opinion right there. The Messiah said, unless you believe that I am, you shall die in your sin. I'm just saying, that's my opinion. You eat the meat and spit out the bone and pray about it. Look, this is the time that you better wake up and make sure you right. Because guess what? The prophecies are here. The prophecies are coming to pass. We've been teaching this for over 10 years, and now it's here. Getting heat for over 10 years, and now it's here. But guess what? They're going to gaslight you anyway. They're going to say, well, what Yacoba said don't mean nothing. All of this don't mean nothing. That's what they're going to tell you. You better seek the Most High on it. United Nations involvement. United Nations International Decade and Forum Focus. The UN declared a second international decade for people of African descent, running January 1st, 2025 to 2035. I think this is the window for us going home, family. This is the decade for people of African descent, 2025 to 2035. Explicitly aiming to take concrete actions to confront the legacies of enslavement and colonialism, deliver reparatory justice at its permanent form on the people of African descent. UN officials have urged states and institutions to move beyond apologies toward substantive reparation. Number 2, UN Human Rights Leadership. Volker Turk, the UN High Commissioner of Human Rights, has explicitly called for a new era, pushing countries to turn words into action on reparations for slavery and colonialism. The United Nations Committee on the Elimination of Racial Discrimination also emphasizes reparatory measures, including gender-specific harm. Now, I don't know what that last part means. They're always trying to tie in some alphabets with us, but I would just ignore that like that don't exist, because I don't even know what that means. All right, so United Nations involvement. Number 3, collaboration with AU and CARICOM at the United Nations. At the UN's PFPAD in April of 2025, CARICOM and the African Union repeatedly stressed the need for a joint resolution and forum within the UN system to advance what? Reparations, not just the AU, but the United Nations. That event included descendants of enslaved people and slave owners advocating reparations, with the UN serving as a key platform. I want my daddy records. Number 4, stronger institutional framework. United Nations human rights bodies and offices like OHCHR actively align with the AU's 2025 flagship theme. The United Nations Working Group on People of African Descent recommends comprehensive, victim-centered approaches to reparations, echoing AU priorities. Now, let me tell you what I think is happening. What I think is happening, you see all of this movement in America with Trump and MAGA and the whole right-wing white supremacy stuff. I think they did this because, one, as we say, we woke up, so the devil angry. But at the same time, white supremacy understands that the world is moving to a multipolar system, which we see that with BRICS. Not only is the world moving towards a multipolar system, the United Nations is going along with the multipolar system as well. This is what's going on. The influence of the people in the Middle East, the 1948ers, and the influence of the United States in the United Nations is waning, as well as the military prowess and the economic prowess of the United States, which gave them much influence because they paid for it. But guess who's going to have to pay for the United Nations now? The multipolar order. See, the value of the dollar is going down. America's on decline. We even losing on people coming here for vacation. So the economy is crashing. So white supremacy is fighting for his life because they're losing influence around the world. That's what's happening, in my opinion. Citizenship, legal pathways to citizenship and residency. Several countries now offer citizenship to descendants of enslaved Africans. Benin updated its laws in April 2025 to grant citizenship to people over 18 with African ancestry confirmed via documentation or approved DNA tests. Guinea-Bissau issued passports to a first group of diaspora descendants in January 2025. Ghana, Sierra Leone, Liberia, and Gabon all have legal or policy frameworks to allow diaspora resettlement or citizenship. So, family, why do you think all of a sudden the African countries are offering citizenship all around the same time? Can anyone help me with that? Are you pondering what I'm pondering? Why all of these African countries all of a sudden saying, come back home? Why? Because this is a plan that has been in place for over 20 years. And we are approaching the time where they're going to say, give us our money. Tie all of this to what's happening with the four carpenters. Tie all of this together with what we're seeing in terms of them taking control of their resources. Tie all this together with Uganda saying, look, we're not giving you any raw minerals unless you build here. Same thing with Kenya with the coffee. Same thing with Senegal kicking out the French. It's all a plan. I told y'all that something was happening behind the scenes. Let me answer this before I continue. You know, because this how people are. This how people are. Sounds good, but I don't trust them. Okay, and I have one question for you though. Just one question. Is this not the prophecy that the Most High had given us in his word? And therefore, it doesn't matter what plans they have or what they're doing. Everything they're doing is already preordained by the Most High. So whether you trust him or not, you're going to get your reparation. If the Most High spoke it, his word not going to return back void. So does it matter if you trust him or not? I'm just saying. Number 2, Pan-African diaspora divisions and frameworks. The AU's diaspora division actively encourages engagement, coordination, and integration of the diaspora, including participation in summits and policymaking on this agenda. Agenda 2063 aims to unify Africa. Does that not sound like the two sticks family? Yes or no? Agenda 2063 aims to unify Africa economically and politically, under which diaspora return is increasingly embedded. I'm just asking you, family, yes or no? Does this not sound like the dry bones? Does this not sound like the two sticks coming together? I'm just saying. Agenda 2063. Agenda 2063 is the African Union's 50-year blueprint to transform the continent into a politically united, economically strong, and culturally confident global power by the year 2063. It was adopted in 2013 during the AU's 50th anniversary. Here's what it actually entails, broken down into real tangible goals. Core vision: an integrated, prosperous, and peaceful Africa, driven by its own citizens and representing a dynamic force in the international arena. Now, I also find it very interesting that this 50-year plan, right, is to bring us together, bring the continent together politically, economically, and culturally. Now, isn't it interesting that the United Nations just moved some of their offices to Kenya? Oh, well, Yacoba, the main office is still in New York. Yeah, right now. They know that America is declining and Africa is rising, and they pre-positioned themselves in Kenya. Now, think of this for a second. I'm not saying I'm right, but the first thing that came to me when I heard that the United Nations is moving their offices to Kenya was Daniel chapter 11, verse 45. Go read it. Tell me what y'all think. That's the first thought that came to my mind, was Daniel chapter 11, verse 45. Y'all telling me we ain't in no end times. Shoot, we smack dab in the middle, baby. See, y'all done brought out some of my Orleans accent there. They'd be like, Yacoba, you don't sound like you from New Orleans. I'm going to sound like it when I start saying neutral ground. Anyway, Agenda 2063. Agenda 2063 is a major reason why several African nations have started offering citizenship, residency, and return initiatives to African Americans and other members of the African diaspora. The diaspora is the official sixth region of Africa. Agenda 2063 formally designates the African diaspora as the sixth region of the continent. This inclusion means African Americans, Afro-Caribbeans, Afro-Brazilians, and other of African descent outside of the continent are seen as part of Africa's future political, economic, and cultural community. Can I say two sticks, family? Repeat after me, family. Two sticks. That status opens the door for what? Dual citizenship programs, diaspora voting rights in the African Union decisions, still evolving, initiations to invest, resettle, or participate in policy development. Don't tell me the prophecies ain't coming to pass, baby. Gentiles return us home, Isaiah 60, verses 9 through 11. Surely the isles shall wait for me, and the ships of Tarshish first, to bring thy sons from far, their silver and their gold with them. The sons of strangers shall build up thy walls. Thy gates shall be open continually, that men may bring unto thee the wealth of the Gentiles, and that their kings may be brought. I'm just saying. Money management. There's been serious discussion at the UN about creating and managing reparations funding, but no final decision yet on who will control the money. That's what some of the FBA is upset about, because they don't get to control the money right now. One, establishing a global reparations fund. At the United Nations Permanent Forums in 2025, delegates agreed on the need for an African reparations fund and a committee of experts to oversee reparatory justice initiatives. CARICOM and the AU are pushing for a global reparations fund based in Africa with United Nations support to define its legal and operational framework. Well, how are we going to get there, Yacoba? I don't have no money. Global reparations fund. I told you, we all not moving out of our countries all at one time. America's first. We're leaving first. Then probably the UK. And then probably some of the islanders. And then wherever else Israel at. Number two, who's calling the shots? At this stage, fund control is still being debated. The Permanent Forum and UN Working Group recommend experts oversight, draft trusteeship models, and close collaboration with AU and CARICOM, but no formal governance structure has been finalized. In practice, expectations include an oversight board comprised of governments, diaspora representation, civil society, and technical experts. Transparent UN reporting, likely yearly per draft UN declaration, managed by the Secretary General or UN High Commissioner for Human Rights. Fund operations based in Africa, but administered in accordance with UN financial and governance norms. As I mentioned to you, the only institution right now that even has the mechanism for returning people who are, quote unquote, going to be immigrants, technically, it's the same ones who helped the immigrants get here from Central America, get from Central America to the U.S. They already had the situation in place. They already have the cards in place. They already went through a test case. What test case is that, Yacoba? The test case of moving millions of people from several countries to the United States, right? Didn't they do that? Yes or no? Did they not already have a trial run where they brought in and managed millions of people to cross the border into America? That was a trial run. And now the same institution that did it for the people in Latin America or Central America to the U.S., it's going to bring us from the U.S. and from around the world and all of the places we were scattered back to Africa. I told y'all nothing happens out of the blue. It is a process. It is a plan. Logistics and preparations have to be made to bring millions and millions and millions of Negroes, Israel, descendants of the slave trade. Some of y'all call Israelites back to the continent. You have to prepare for it, and they have been. I told y'all. International institutions. Role of international institutions. The UN is being positioned as a supervisory anchor through the Permanent Forum on People of African Descent, which advises and recommends fund structures via the working group of experts pushing for holistic, right-centered reparations principles. Likely future involvement from bodies like the UN General Assembly and Human Rights Council once foundational policies are in place. You know what else I find interesting? It just so happens that America's about to go nukes with Russia. I'm just saying. Jeremiah 50:51 coming to pass. Along with our regathering, along with our return back to the continent. As I told you, the Israeli in America leaves first. We're going to have to flee. Then the rest of the family going to be brought back as well. My theory is that as we flee, the UN is probably going to be involved in that as well, since this is the year of reparations. This is 2025 is the year of reparations. It is a 10-year plan for the United Nations for reparations from 2025 to 2035. All coincidence? You think I'm making it up now? You think I have fear doctrine now? You think I don't know what I'm talking about now? I told you all you got to do is just wait long enough and you're going to find out who's been telling you the truth. You know what else? Maybe Yacobo is right about all the other things he said. Maybe he was right about the agents as well. Well, Jacoba, I still don't think you're right. Okay, fine. Ignore all the evidence. That's what the Gentiles do. How much evidence we got that we Ezra Alawi? How much, family? We can't even count it no more. We can't even keep track of the evidence that we've gathered over the years of proving that we're Ezra Alawi. But guess what? They still don't accept it. Why? Because their hearts are hardened. I'm going to tell y'all something after I finish this, right? Because I was going to do a teaching on this. I don't know if I'm going to do a teaching on it because it's a lot. I don't know. Maybe. We'll see. But I'll get back to it if I don't forget. No agreement on money management. Still no agreement on money management. That means no confirmed trustee structure. We don't know who will officially manage the funds. No clarity yet on accountability mechanisms, disbursement criteria, or oversight procedures. Geopolitical debates continue over who decides and who gets funded, with input from CARICOM, the AU, the UN, and donor recipient states. See, what you have to understand is that institutions talk to institutions. Governments talk to governments. And that's why they're making us Region 6, right? Because we can only communicate with the global bodies through international organizations. Why so condescending in your teaching? Sounds mad at someone. Maybe I am mad at someone. Maybe I'm mad at you. Maybe I'm mad at all of the people who've been gaslighting me for the last 10 years. Maybe I'm mad because y'all just straight up lie. Maybe I'm mad because y'all full of it. Maybe that's why. Could that be it? I could be mad. No, I'm not mad. I'm just joking. I ain't mad. It's part of that. It just comes with the territory. It just comes with the territory. I ain't mad at nobody. I'm not. I gotta care to be mad. I don't care. I don't care because I told y'all I've done my part. I've run the race. I've been honest. I presented my case for 10 years. We're about to go home. I don't care what you say. You don't matter. You don't matter. Global Reparations Fund. Talks are ongoing. The vision is a global reparations fund managed by a coalition of African states, UN bodies, diaspora groups, and civil society. But the mechanisms are not yet locked in, especially regarding who controls the funds and how they're dispersed. It's early stage planning, not yet implemented. Yeah, thank you. Leave your cove alone. That's right, family. Leave me alone. I'm happy today. I'm excited. But there's always some trolls. It is what it is. I expect them. I don't care, though. Timeline for reparation. 2025 AU years of operationalization. Through its 2025 theme, Justice for Africans and People of African Descent through Reparations, the AU is working to finalize the Africa Reparations Fund and set up a committee of experts to oversee what? Distributions. The AU and UN offices held global forums this year, marking clear movement toward launching the funding mechanisms. (2025 to 2030) United Nations Decade Build-Out Phase. The United Nations International Decade for People of African Descent, 2025 to 2035, focuses early on designing funding control structures, legal frameworks, pilot disbursement models, mobilization of donors, states, and institutions. By 2030, the goal is to have foundational reparations tools active. Disbursements begin, criteria are set, oversight boards appointed, and pilot projects underway. I'm just saying. You see, the haters come in here because they've been proven wrong. That's why the haters speaking up. I'm just saying. Timeline for reparation 2023. Fund initiated. Expert committee proposals. 2024. AU Summit endorses reparations roadmap. Expert group formation. 2025. AU reparations theme rollout. United Nations dialogues on funding norms. 2025 to 2030. Global fund becomes operational. Pilot payouts begin. 2030. Measurable disbursements and beneficiary tracking in place. So I wonder, could that be the reason that the United Nations has Agenda 2030? Is that the reason why they've been moving so fast to bring down the United States? And, pretty much they sold it out to the billionaires. Because things they be a-changing? Could it be the fact that they know they cannot stop the rise of Africa? Have you seen what's been happening to France lately? I'm just saying. France got dirt in the streets, crime in the streets, electricity going out, lack of funding for, government programs. While Africa rising, Ibrahim rising, I'm just saying. "2025 to 2030 is the critical window. By 2030, frameworks should not only exist, but start delivering reparations. Complete execution may take years longer, but implementation is meant to begin long before 2063. So 2063, I probably won't be here more than likely, right? But anyway, by 2063, Africa will be ruling the world. So, fam, here's the deal. There's a lot of things that I see because the Most High showed me, and you may not be able to see. And that's why I knew these things were near. I told y'all it's near, even at the door, whatever that means. I also mentioned that what we're seeing here, all of the things, there's an agenda afoot. There's discussions behind the scenes. There has been structures being put in place, and it was not making national news. Here's the deal. And I may do a teaching on this, and I may not. But here's what I also learned from my studies. And I'm going to say this to the Gentiles first. Do y'all want a peaceable life? Do you want your children to not have to deal with all of the craziness? Y'all need to serve Israel. I know you don't want to hear that. You need to attach yourself to Israel. Come back with us to the land. Let me tell you why. And I know you're not going to get it because you don't hear all the stuff we talk about. You don't study the history. Y'all ignore all the stuff we say. Why? Because we just niggers. I'm sorry, Niger. But here's the deal. The scripture says that we are a cultivated olive tree. The scripture said that Gentiles came from a wild olive tree, which was not part of the cultivated olive tree because they didn't have the law. They didn't have the patriarchs and the prophets. So they were not part of our olive tree and covenant, and they were not cultivated, but we were. But we fell away and went into captivity, and our Father had to punish us. But as a cultivated olive tree, when we stopped producing fruit, our tree was uprooted. Go read your Bible. Read it. Our tree was uprooted. And symbolically, That means we were uprooted and kicked out of the land. So you wonder why you don't see devils cast out. This is just my opinion. You want to know why you don't see devils cast out? You want to know why you don't see the dead being raised? You want to know why you don't see healings? I know y'all be faking it in the Christian church, falling out on the floor like foolishness. But you want to know why y'all don't see that, Gentiles? You want to know why you don't see the dead raised, the sick walking out of hospitals? I'm going to tell you why. Because the covenant people are out of place. The covenant people don't have no power because we're still under the curse. And so long as we're in the land of our captivity, we lack power. But the Bible says that we're going to be brought back and we're going to be planted again. You know why? Because the olive tree, the cultivated olive tree, can only grow in special soil. Y'all didn't know that, did you? You didn't know that the olive tree can only grow in special soil. You know that? Oh, but what are you talking about? The olive tree can only grow in the Holy Land. The olive tree can only grow where the Holy of Holies is. The only soil that we can get power from is where the Holy of Holies is. The land given to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, to our ancestors. A people restored as a people restored to the covenant, grafted back in. A people restored to their Elohim, Yahuwah. A people who have turned back to the laws, statutes, and commandments, not to be saved, but to be obedient. Go read James chapter 2. Well, we're not under the law. I don't want to hear that ever again. Stupid. A people who has been given a new heart, once they're back in the land, go read your Bible, go watch my videos, who are now operating in the power of their Father, in the power of the Holy Spirit. Go look at my article that I did at tillministries.com about the tares. When we rise, we receive power. When we back in the land, we receive power. Oh, yeah, you don't believe me, right? Isaiah 60, arise and shine, for your light has come, and the glory of Yahuwah shall be seen upon you, and nations shall be drawn to the brightness of thy rising. What does that even mean? Just like the wheat, when the wheat is in the right soil and the wheat get the right sunlight, it grows and it prospers and it produces fruit, and greater works will you do, because I go to the Father. There will be greater works when we back in the land. Do you not know? And we got proof for all of this, Gentiles. Do you not know that during the time that the Moors ruled Europe, and our ancestors were in Spain and Portugal? Oh, we got a story to tell you on that one. Do you not know that they came to the Ezra Alawi to bless their farms? Y'all remember that? I taught on that. The Gentiles would come and find them an Ezra Alawi to bless their farm. Why? Because they had power. until we were usurped by the Roman Catholics and replaced by the Christians. And they stole our identity and our heritage. Yet we also see that we're going to get that back. We also see this happening with the African Union. AU year reparations should look to the future and the past. Reparations aim to repair relationships and prevent violence. A forward-looking approach could foster a more just global order. The African Union 2025 theme, Justice for Africans and People of African Descent through Reparations, has revived discussions initiated over 30 years ago. I told y'all, in the Abuja Proclamation, and revitalized in the Accra Proclamation and its declaration. An implementation roadmap will mainstream this year's theme at continental and global levels through engagement with African countries, civil society organizations, and other AU organs. The roadmap prioritizes establishing a unit to provide technical and policy support and coordinate implementation. The goal is to develop a common African position to help galvanize countries' political will. Individual states may hesitate to engage in unilateral reparations advocacy beyond seeking restitution of stolen artifacts due to asymmetric power dynamics and economic dependencies on the West. The AU's, look, and I'm going to tell you what's going to happen is America going to fall, and then we're going to get our reparations. That's what's going to happen. White supremacy is our biggest obstacle, right? The AU's revival of the issue presents an opportunity to collectively define what reparations truly mean and establish its scope by involving the sixth region, the Caribbean community, and African Americans. The exercise must promote a balanced perspective of harm and blame. Regarding harm, Africans and people of African descent hold diverse and sometimes varying positions. Historical accountability must be acknowledged while addressing contemporary realities, ensuring neither that Africa shifts all blame to the West, nor the West downplays the lasting impact of historical injustice. I want to hear the Vatican. I want the Vatican to be on this list. Some critics in Europe and North America dismiss Africa's reparations agenda as backward-looking. Defining a common position and forging a united front is, however, just one piece of the puzzle. The AU's reparations initiative has already faced and will continue to face deeply entrenched resistance. And remember, as I said, the United Nations is going along with the AU. Many former colonial powers argue that they bear no direct responsibility for injustices committed centuries ago, dismissing reparations claims as impractical or backward-looking. Others contend that development aid, debt relief, and foreign investment function as reparations, negating the need for further redress. Once again, what I think is going to happen, all of the Western powers are going to collapse. We're already seeing it. U.S. is collapsing. France is collapsing. Britain is collapsing. I'm curious to see what's happening to Belgium and the Netherlands and stuff like that, and the Dutch, right? In doing so, the AU could build on traditional African conceptions of justice embedded in its transitional justice and post-conflict reconstruction and development policies where reparation is inherently forward-looking. This is further reinforced by the United Nations Working Group of Experts on People of African Descent, as I mentioned, recommendations, and the African Commissions on Human Rights and People's Rights resolutions. Such reframing would respond to critics in Europe and North America who dismiss Africa's reparations agenda as backward-looking, assuming that violence ended with the abolition of the slave trade and colonialism. The reality is that violence has evolved into systemic injustices that continue to shape global inequalities, including representation and multilateral institutions. So I'm not going to read the rest. I'm going to put this link in the chat. Y'all could go read the rest of it. I pretty much gave you a summation of it. And I'm going to also put this link out there. Returning to Africa, people of African descent seeks unique status, citizenship, rights, and African initiative. All of this stuff, all of the, allowance of us to gain some kind of citizenship is all part of this 2063 agenda, which is part of the decade of reparations. So it looks like their timeline, and timelines are just relative. It seems like their timeline is going to be from 2030 to start giving some redress to reparation. And it's going to take at least 10 years to relocate everybody, minimum, right? 10 years to relocate everybody logistically wise from the four corners of the earth. But the first ones that's returning is those in America. My guess is the next will be those in the UK and probably the islands at the same time. That's my guess. So things, they be a-changing. The evidence is there. The haters gonna hate, and they're gonna keep hating. But guess what? I don't care. Because I'm about to go home. We about to go home. I don't care what nobody say. The evidence is there. Now, we don't know what's going to happen, how it's going to play out. I can tell you their timelines is 2030 to 2050. 2030 to 2063, right? That's for the AU. But for the UN, it's 2030 to 2050, which is the decade of reparations, which I'm assuming, right? I'm just assuming because I'm not at the meetings. I'm assuming that is their timeline to get all of the frameworks in place and the monetary situation straightened out, and they're going to bring us home. I'm just telling you, all of the prophecies, I told y'all, all of the prophecies are there. The only prophecies I have not seen yet, as I mentioned before, was this, right? One, the fleeing, right? The second Exodus, and the destruction of Babylon. Everything else, I'm sorry, is right there. Smack dab in your face. But most people are not going to see it. And a lot of people are going to perish because they don't see it, right? Like I said, you don't have to believe me, right? I did my job, right? You ain't got to listen to me. I got all the evidence, all the proof, all the videos. I wrote a book. My brother wrote a book. It's up to you whether or not you want to eat from that plate. We going home. I gave you the timelines that they talk about. I don't set timelines because I don't know. I'm not the Most High. I'm just telling you what they're saying. Love y'all, family. If y'all want to support us, you can by becoming a patron. You also could give Cash App, $TOTW7101. You can also go over to tellministries.com, click on the donations tab, other options for giving. Love y'all, family. Looking forward to seeing y'all on the continent, however it plays out. I'm personally, y'all, I'm excited. Love y'all with the love of Messiah. Peace and blessings, Israel. Your captivity is definitely ending. Well, family, the wait is over. The moment has arrived where truth emerges triumphant from the shadows of history. Introducing the true Jerusalem, the lost kingdoms of the Israelites, the groundbreaking work by me, Yaakov Vale, a journey into the past that reshapes the future. I cut through centuries of misconceptions with piercing clarity. This book delivers a compelling case packed with evidence that commands attention and gonna get some respect. Come with me for a second, family, and discover how these thrilling civilizations flourished, protected by towering highlands and sustained by advanced engineering. Some have asked, where is Jerusalem? Is it the land in the Middle East? I say no. It is in the highlands of Ethiopia. With hours of groundbreaking research, this book brings in a new revelation, and it will transform your understanding of African history and its connections to the ancient world. It's going to remove from your mind the conditioning by the Romans of what has really happened to our past. Come with me, family, to the Ethiopian highlands and find out why this is our land, why things have been hidden and obfuscated for centuries. We are royalty, children of the Most High. What kind of land do you expect us to have? Dried up dirt in the Middle East, or land flowing with rivers? A land full of beautiful animals flowing with milk and honey. Don't miss out on this monumental unveiling. Grab your copy today and stand on the side of truth. Visit Amazon.com or www.tailministries.com to purchase your book and join Jacoby Vale's teachings on Tail Ministries. Family, your journey to a hidden history has now begun. So family, get your copy of True Jerusalem, the Lost Kingdoms of the Israelites today. Journey to the heart of Africa, where history and legend converge to reveal the forgotten kingdoms of the Israelites and the true location of Jerusalem.